It's 8:20. Hubby's got the fire going. Midwife and doula are on their way.
Yeah, hold them like that. That's perfect.
Hey, welcome to my channel. I am doing a sit-down birth story chat. This is little baby Josiah James. Just had a feed, so we'll see if he's going to be chilled during this chat or if I'll have to give him to hubby, who's actually chilling in the background there. I want him to chime in if I forget something or some kind of detail that I skip over. But yeah, the first 2 weeks were rough, I won't lie. Breastfeeding was way more challenging than I could have ever expected. Not to scare any new moms, but I thought birth was the only thing I had to prepare for, and I thought everything would be super easy after that. And I must say, breastfeeding feels like it's more challenging than labor. But anyway, let's get into the story. After this video, I also want to do a couple more videos. One more video about how I prepared for my labor, like what I did the week leading up to it, and a Q&A video as well, and then also a how to prepare for a newborn, because I just think I had no idea what I needed, and now being postpartum and having a newborn for the last 3 weeks, I'd love to share all the essential things that I really think is helpful in those first couple of weeks. Anyway, so let's get into it. So on Thursday, the 22nd of June, I was just chilling in bed and I randomly woke up at around 3 o'clock, and I just started feeling a little bit of period kind of cramps. Very, very minimal, hardly noticeable, but I noticed while I was awake that they were kind of coming every 8 minutes or so. So I was like, let me just kind of time them and see if there's some kind of pattern. It would have been super early. I mean, I was 37 weeks and 5 days or something, or 4 days. So I was kind of expecting Josiah to come that weekend. I honestly felt God say, and I had told Sheldon, and I had made a countdown on my phone that he was going to come the 25th. Obviously I misheard God, and God really meant that he'd come before the 25th, or by the 25th he'd be here. But I was preparing everything for that Sunday. So on the Thursday when I woke up to this, I was like, oh, this is interesting, but it can't be labor because I'm sure he's coming on the weekend. Anyway, so I timed a few of the period kind of cramps, and after timing 5 of them, all of a sudden there was this gush. I didn't hear any pops or any noises, but just a gush of water, and I quickly jumped out of bed because I didn't want to get any of it in the bed. So I jumped out of the bed, and I was like, whoa, I was soaked. And so I decided, I realized this is my water. This cannot be pee. There's so much liquid coming out of me. And I realized, and I think I started shaking a little bit at the thought of, oh my word, this is labor. This is happening. This is actually happening. There's no turning back after your waters break. We're having a baby in the next 24, 48 hours. So immediately I went downstairs and I checked, and I had very, very little bit of blood, hardly anything, but undeniably it was my waters. I messaged my midwife. I will be looking down at my notes actually. I messaged my midwife that my waters had broke, and took a photo, sent it to them. We have a birth group, so my midwife and my doula were both on the group, and hubby. Sent it to them, and they're like, oh yeah, your waters have broke. They told me to rest and just get into bed, but obviously that wasn't gonna happen. I was super, super awake, so I put a pad on because you just want to check what color your waters is. It's very important. So put a pad on, And I think I just started praying and I started cleaning the house because now I knew the midwife and doula would probably be coming soon and our house was just a bit of a mess. So started putting on some praise and worship and cleaning the house. And I decided I'm not going to wake Sheldon yet because nothing was really happening. I wasn't having any contractions really. So I decided I'll wake him at 5. It was like 3-ish. So I was like, okay, at 5, I will wake him. So yeah, I just did my thing around the house. And 5 o'clock, I think it was 10 to 5 came. And I went to the bed and I was like, I woke Sheldon and I said, you're going to be a dad. That's what I said. Hey, babe, you're going to be a dad. And he's not a morning person at all. So he was like very like, what? Like very confused. Like, okay. I was like, you're going to be a dad. Like I'm in, like my water's broke and there's no like, if maybe this is like actually happening, you are actually going to be a dad today. Yeah. Well, it wasn't that day. It was the next day, but still. So we both got up. I actually think he said to me, like, you need to clean the house.
Yeah.
You were like, we need to clean the house. We need to organize the cot and stuff because the cot had all these toys and stuff all over it. So, yeah, we started, well, I started cleaning a little bit. You started organizing a bit. And we went downstairs and just put on some worship music. I think we prayed together. I started bouncing on the ball and I was just very excited and very pumped up on some adrenaline. Yeah, and then Sheldon started blowing up the pool because we had a birth pool that was given to us that week. Thankfully, that week we got the birth pool. And so he started blowing it up and getting things kind of ready because we didn't know whether it would be, in my mind I was like, this baby could be here by 12 p.m. or could be here by the night, or, you know, you don't know how long labor is going to take. And usually when your waters break, it takes a lot quicker. So yeah, so then after a little bit, we actually went and visited my parents. And I actually just told them, like, because I wanted them to pray and just keep us in their prayers the whole day. And they started crying. They were so excited. After that, we came home and we just started, preparing, listening to worship music. Kind of feels like a blur that whole morning, to be honest. Hey, babe? Like, yeah. But after a few hours, or at least an hour, we were like, okay, let's distract ourselves. And we put on the movie Get Smart, because contractions weren't really happening. There was like, nothing was really happening. So I thought distraction would be the best thing. So put on Get Smart. That was probably around, what time would you say that was around?
Like 7:30, because at about 8 I went to the shops to get firewood to make fire.
Wood. Did we walk before that or after that?
After.
Okay, yeah. So Sheldon went to get some wood because in my mind I really wanted to labor in the lounge. Do you mind actually taking him? In the lounge. Here you go. I wanted to labor in the lounge with the fire and I just wanted like ambiance. So Sheldon went to get some wood because we actually had none in the house. And I don't know if it was before or after that, but we did go for a walk somewhere in that time. And I wrote down here, because I have a few videos where I was vlogging, that my contractions were like super sporadic. They were barely noticeable. They were like 7 minutes apart, sometimes 4 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes apart. They were lasting 10 seconds, 30 seconds. They were just all over the place. There was no consistency. There was no intensity. I remember in one of my vlogs, I was like even saying like, I'm not sure if I'm having one, but I think I'm having one now. It was just, it was basically non-existent. At 9 o'clock, I think around 9 o'clock, I drank some raspberry leaf tea just to try and maybe see if that would help contractions. And then around 10, our domestic worker came. It's so crazy. Like, so she started cleaning our house. So that was going on. And then there was a plane overhead. because we live close to farms, so they were coming and they were spraying farms near crop sprayers. And so they fly really low, so that noise was just getting to me. Like, I started around 10 o'clock, I started getting super agitated. I remember saying to Sheldon, like, can you give me some headphones? Because I wanted to just like block out every noise and all the distractions. I wanted to just like put headphones in and listen to like my praise and worship playlist, or listen to like a meditation, a birth meditation from like Bridget Taylor or something. And all the flippin' headphones we had, because I hadn't charged mine, they all have only one side that works. So I attempted to go upstairs, close the doors, and try and get into the zone with like one side headphones. But literally from upstairs, Sheldon was chilling downstairs. I started messaging Sheldon like, you need to get the domestic worker to leave. Her name's Rihanna. You need to get Rihanna, please, she needs to leave. And I was getting agitated. I don't normally get like angry or frustrated at like something, or not like, I don't know, babe. I just was so angry. I was actually gonna tell you like, Sheldon, tell her to leave now, because you were like, no, like she'll be 5 minutes.
I just wanted her to finish the dishes. Like, just finish the dishes.
And I was like not having it. I was like, tell her to leave. Like, listen. I actually said, can you please listen to me?
Yeah.
So that was at around 10. I was just like, I was not getting into the zone. And like, birth is such a mental thing. You have to feel focused. You have to feel calm, and more calm than you would ever think that you need to be. Like, I needed literally no distractions, no noises. I needed to be like in the most zen state ever. And I didn't even know that that's something I needed. So looking back, I would have done a lot differently. But anyway, at around 11, 12:30, because things weren't really progressing, we started praying and started trying to do things to relax. So we started to build a puzzle, which was really fun. We put praise and worship on, started building a puzzle, which I wasn't the greatest at.
No, you were terrible.
I was definitely missing pieces, but it was actually such a fun time. Like, I was just, every now and again I would go praise and worship, and then I would come back and do a puzzle, and we were having a good time. Contractions were kind of picking up from that point, because I think then I was more relaxed, in a better space. So I could kind of see that contractions were starting to build and kind of become more consistent. But then, unfortunately, Sheldon left. He left for literally like not long. He wanted to just take a photo of our house so that the midwife and the doula knew what house we were at, so they could find us. And so from like contractions, I was timing them. They were getting pretty consistent. They were kind of coming, I don't remember how long apart, but I think at least like
3 minutes apart.
3, 4. They were kind of having a pattern. And then he left.
When she says left, I was outside the front door.
Yeah.
So it's not like I went anywhere.
He
I
went
was literally
outside.
at the front door. Yeah.
He went outside
like
for like
2 meters.
Again, this is just how insane like your mind and your calm state needs to be, like, at least for me. He went outside, and first I started getting, like, it was fine. He was leaving for like a minute. But then he got caught up chatting to the neighbor, and in the time he was gone, I started getting really agitated. And then suddenly I started getting frustrated of like, where is he? Is he coming back? And in this whole time that he left, I had 0 contractions, not one contraction. I think after about 10-15 minutes, I actually went outside to call him, and I had no contractions in that whole time. As soon as he came in, I actually burst out in tears. I was like, please don't leave me. Like, I was just distraught, which is so crazy. I mean, that would never have affected me before, but yet in this state, like, I needed him with me. Like, I did not want him to leave me at all. So yeah, unfortunately after that, contractions stopped completely. There was nothing, and
For
Sheldon,
an hour at least.
from like, I wrote here 12:30 to like almost 3:30.
Yeah.
There was like nothing. And I had like a 30-minute nap, woke up, still nothing happening, decided to go for another walk, still nothing happening. I was getting frustrated because my waters broke, which means I did have a bit of a timeline. Like labor could not just go on for like 50 hours. Like I had 24 hours, give or take, to get baby here because of risk of infection. So yeah, I was getting a bit frustrated. I was praying. I was trying to like do things to encourage labor. When I got back from my walk around 4:30-ish, I wrote here, my dad had come over because there was like pipes and stuff that were blocked. There was a bit of a quarrel outside while I approached the house, which obviously was quite frustrating for me because I'm trying to get into a very calm state. So when I got into the house, there's a plane going, there's building people outside making like drilling noises. My contractions weren't happening. I burst out in tears. I was just in a state. I was like panicked. I was just like, yo. So Sheldon came in, we prayed together, and I just remember I was on a yoga mat and I was stretching like a child's pose, and he was sitting next to me, and I just asked him to sit with me and pray, and we prayed, and that was the turning point. That was around 5:30.
Well, you got into the bath.
Yeah, after that.
Yeah, I think that was the turning point.
Yeah. Well, the prayer and then the bath.
Yeah.
So yeah, as soon as after we prayed, I was like, okay, it's starting to get dark. Praise God, it's winter, so it gets dark at like around 5, 6. And so we decided I decided I'm gonna get into a bath. I'm gonna put candles. We put candles everywhere and just like calm down, get into a calm state, because that's what I needed. Yeah, so I got into the bath. I was actually like on my hands and knees in the bath. And we actually started playing 20 questions, which was so fun. I think Sheldon's 20 question item was perfume, and mine was a frying pan. And we just like, between contractions, I was just asking questions on what this item was. Yeah, 20 questions. I'm sure everyone knows what that game is. It was just actually such a special time. A lot of fun. Yeah, I noticed my contractions starting to get definitely more intense. I was breathing through them. I think I asked for my comb at that time. I'm not sure.
I don't remember, no.
No, not yet, maybe.
No, I don't think so.
I did tell you though, as soon as I asked for my comb. So my comb,
yeah.
It's something I learned from Sarah Therese, which is another YouTuber. She swore by them. So it's just a comb that you put here and you actually press down, and it puts like acupressure on your hand to kind of divert the pain or the focus or whatever. It definitely helped. I freaking used that comb throughout my whole labor when it started getting intense. So in the bath, things definitely picked up. Sheldon messaged the doula and the midwife and said like, hey, contractions are definitely building. Yeah, they were at 7 p.m. Things were starting to pick up. 40 seconds every 4 to 5 minutes, and I was breathing through them. I was able to talk, but I definitely noticed that they had increased. I didn't have any back pain or anything. It was just more here in the stomach area, like lower down. Oh yeah, my thighs were starting to like feel crampy or achy, like I had used them like it was more tiring. Contractions were more tiring than anything. I would not classify them, honestly, I would not classify them as painful. I would 100% classify them as intense, something you have to focus through, something you really have to, I'm going to say that again, focus through, breathe through, but I would not classify them as painful. I'm going to say this, breastfeeding has been painful. Labor was not painful at all. It was just intense. Anyway, so we got out of the bath. I think we were in the bath for like an hour and a half, something crazy. It was a long time. We both played 20 questions. It was quite a long time. Put praise and worship on, and the midwife started to come through. I also read here that at around 8:30, when things were getting more intense, I think I said it was 7 out of 10 intensity, I was visualizing God. Like honestly, through my contractions, I was visualizing the story of Peter, that he was walking on water and God just saying like, trust me, have faith, and he will bring me through this, as well as just visualizing God like holding Josiah, Jesus holding Josiah, or holding me and Josiah in his arms. Oh, it makes me actually, want to cry because it was actually incredible. Woo! It's everything I prayed for my labor. I just wanted a beautiful, sorry. Okay. Whew. I just wanted a beautiful experience with God, with Yahweh. I wanted my Father in heaven to be present, and I wanted it to be an undeniable presence, which it 100% was. Yeah, so, okay, yeah. So a lot of prayer was throughout that whole labor. Prayer got me through. Visualizing God got me through. Yeah, my husband got me through. He was there every step of the way, basically. Anyway, so yeah, at around 8:30, I said contractions were lasting closer to a minute. They were about a minute, and they're very sporadic again, coming every 3 minutes, 2 minutes, every 90 seconds. Sometimes I had contractions that were back to back. They lasted for 90 seconds. I had a lot of back to back contractions. And then 8:40, my midwife and my doula arrived, and that's when I think they got the pool ready for me. I was still kind of happy and chatty at that point, but I was also aware that like I didn't want them to think that I wasn't like in labor, so I wasn't pretending, but I was definitely like playing it up a little bit more. I don't know why, but in my mind I was like, I want them to know I'm in labor, like because I had this timeline in my head that I had 24 hours to birth this baby. I didn't want them to worry that I wasn't far along. So that was weird. But anyway, and then around 9 o'clock, I got into the bath, and I think that's when I started doing like more moaning, more vocal things to get me through. Through a contraction, it just helped so much to like make a noise because I would focus on the noise I was making. I was also breathing, making sure to breathe. I wasn't counting my breaths, but I was like very aware of like slow in, slow out, and that was really, really helpful. Never once did I get like hyperventilate or anything like that. I was very focused throughout my contractions, and they definitely felt like a wave. Like it would build, it would be like, okay, it's coming, it get very intense, and then it receded, which I thought was incredible, especially when God gave me that visual thing of Peter walking on water and walking on the waves, and that the waves were contractions. It just was, yeah, it was an incredible experience. Around 9:30, they actually told Sheldon, please go upstairs. He took the dogs. They said, you need to rest. We're with her now. You need to go rest because it's going to be a long night. So he went upstairs with the dogs, and I don't think he slept. Did you sleep at all?
No. Well, you didn't let me go upstairs at first.
Yeah, well, I didn't want you to leave me.
So I think I stayed down for another half hour or so, just holding your hands and talking a bit. And then you're like, okay, cool, go sleep. So yeah, I didn't sleep though, because you had all the bedding. So it was,
yeah. All the bedding was downstairs.
Just a mattress and so I used the pillow, and then Judah kept like
Judah's our dog.
Flipping the pillow off me because he wanted to climb under the pillow, because he was cold. So no, I didn't sleep. I don't know what time I came down. I think it was a couple of hours later.
I don't know. Yeah, I stopped tracking.
I think it was like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. I came down. So I didn't sleep.
Then he was. Yeah, I was just in the pool, and they were. I don't know if they started then, but they were pouring some hot water on me, and
I saw that before.
Yeah, that's quite nice. That was quite nice. I liked birthing. I liked being in the pool. It was nice, but I don't think it was hot enough because we couldn't get it quite hot enough. So yeah, it didn't like give that much pain or pleasure, pain relief. Okay, then she checked me for dilation while Sheldon was upstairs. That wasn't so fun. That was a bit painful, I won't lie. Especially the contraction straight after that. That I would say was a little bit on the more pain scale side. So I told her not to tell me how dilated I was. I didn't want to get discouraged. And I think that was my mistake because that caused me some stress because she didn't want to tell me. And ended up, I was 3 centimeters dilated, which I was fine with because I had literally started labor at like 7. So by this time I was like 3 hours or so into like real active labor. But I saw them go into the kitchen, my midwife and my doula, and they were whispering, and then Sheldon came downstairs, and then I saw my midwife go to Sheldon, and they were whispering, and so I started to panic because I was like, shucks, like they're lying to me, like I'm not doing well, I'm not far along, I probably we're gonna have to go to the hospital, maybe that's what they're whispering about. So I started getting a bit stressed. And so as soon as they stopped talking, Sheldon came to me, and that's when I had like a bit of a slight breakdown. I think I told you, like, it's getting hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what, they're whispering, like, what's wrong? Tell me what's happening. And you were like, no, like, she says you're doing really well. You're only 3 centimeters dilated, but you're doing very well, and they're very happy. So obviously I trusted you, so I was like, okay. It settled me. And then you just reminded me, it's not pain. This is not pain, which is 100% the truth. You were like, this is purposeful. You're gonna see baby soon. And that just helped me so much. You just reminding me that it's not painful. It's intense, but it's not pain. So yeah, and that's the truth. Honestly, it's not painful, it's intense. It takes focus, and it's labor, it's hard work. So at about, I think I stayed in the pool, and then I got checked again. I don't know where exactly, and I was about a 5 to 6, and that was around 11, 12 o'clock, and I was a 5 or 6, and unfortunately he was very high. Because I think I was in labor so soon, 37, 38 weeks, he hadn't descended into the birth canal very far. Like, I had no lightning crotch, I had no feelings of like his head down there. He was very far up. And that's why my contractions were so over the place. They were not textbook at all. And that's because the contractions were trying to position him down. So he was very high, unfortunately. And that's why I was having a lot of intense back-to-back contractions, but they weren't like they weren't doing a whole lot. So yeah, so after that, after she checked me and realized he hadn't really dropped much from the first check, they told us to both go upstairs, and we got on the bed in like so Sheldon sat, and I was on my back by his feet, and I put my legs on his hips, right?
Your hips were around over my waist.
Yeah.
So you were just elevated from your hips.
Yeah.
And your feet, feet were by your head.
So they wanted to elevate my hips to help him come down. I still remember I made a terrible joke, which is not like me, just saying.
Yeah.
I made a terrible sex joke about the position of this thing. No one laughed because it wasn't funny. You were just like, you and the doula were like, okay.
I kind of leaned into the awkwardness.
It was so awkward.
I don't know how it would work, but okay.
Oh my word. I still just remember being like, oh, why did I make that joke? But like, yeah, anyway, that just shows you though, you can still be like happy and chatty between contractions, even though it's super intense. But anyway, they did not enjoy that one. After like, we did 3 or 4 contractions in that position, and then they wanted me to sleep. They were like trying to convince me, get into bed, have a sleep. You've been up for like more than 20 hours, and we don't know how long we still have. So I was not having it though. I was like, if I lay down, he's not gonna come down. I'm not gonna progress. Like I was like not wanting to sleep or laying down. So I was like, no, I need to pee. So we went downstairs, I peed, I stayed on the toilet, I was stalling a little bit, like I did not want to get into bed. But Sheldon eventually was like, no, come on, like just trust them, get into bed. And so I was like, okay. So eventually I got into bed. At that time, the doula did coach me with my voice because I was apparently straining my voice a little bit. I was trying to do low moans, but I think they were going a little bit high. So she told me to do horse lips, which really helped. So I would go, I would breathe in. It was the noise just is so distracting. It just like really helped a lot. To my surprise, I actually slept, which is like mind blowing. But through like 8 or 9 contractions, like me and Sheldon, the lights were off. Sheldon was like holding me, spooning me, and I remember actually between contractions feeling like so warm and like comfy. Like I was like, oh, this is so nice. Like I'm just gonna sleep. And then the contraction would come and I'd like, have to focus, and I would moan and I would do the horse lips, and then I would fall asleep again. So I have no idea how much I actually slept between contractions, but I slept, which was crazy. And I would say it was at least 8, 9, maybe even 10 contractions that I had whilst like sleeping. And I remember just like praying that like, Yahweh, you know when this baby's gonna come. You will bring him forth. It's not anything I'm doing. It's not by my strength. It's not by my might. Your Holy Spirit and your power, that is what's gonna bring him forth and birth him. And so I just remember telling Yahweh, like, it's in your timing. I'm gonna trust you. I'm gonna trust your timing. Baby's gonna come when he's gonna come. And also just saying to Yahweh and knowing like he could come in the next hour. God could make it happen in the next 10 minutes, and just trusting that God is in control. God has me. He's holding me. He's holding baby, and he's gonna have the victory. So I remember just feeling like the Holy Spirit told me, okay, between contractions, lift your leg. So I was on my side and I would lift my leg like a dog during contractions, even though it would make it a lot more intense, but I would lift my leg. And I noticed after like a couple of contractions doing like that, I started to feel a bit of pressure down there, like something was pushing against me down there. And I couldn't like, was it me or was I making it up? Like it wasn't so strong of a feeling that I was certain of it. So, but it was happening. So when the doula and the midwife came back, I told them I am feeling a bit of pressure, which was obviously super good. The contractions had intensified and there was some pressure. So midwife offered, do you want to check again? And I was like, okay, let's check, because I want to see if what we have done has helped him move down. So lay on the bed, and she checked me again, and praise God, I was 8 centimeters, and he was coming, I think he was in my pelvic line, like 0 station or something. Like he had moved down. Praise God, like I was so relieved. So just after that, I think it was around 2:30, we got into the pool. And when I got in, so Sheldon was there.
You got in the pool.
I got in the pool.
Not we got in the
Oh,
pool.
no.
You got in the pool.
I got in the pool. Oh, there's something very important that I've quickly skipped over. Before we did the positioning on the bed, and my terrible joke, the doula showed me something that was like, I feel bad for Sheldon, because she showed me counter pressure, which is when she pushes on my hips. And it literally made my contractions go from like 7 to 5. Like 7 where I was like moaning and had to focus, to like when she did it, I could talk almost through the contraction. Like I just remember she did it and I was like, wow, this is incredible.
Yeah.
This is the best.
All of our faces after that were quite like despondent, because we just realized that every 3 minutes we have to do that.
You all had to do that, yeah. So unfortunately, my doula had hurt her wrist. So Sheldon, for like basically the next 6 hours, probably
about 4 hours.
3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
If that was around 12, then it was like 3 hours.
3 hours, yeah.
He had to do counter pressure, and I was relentless. As soon as my contraction come, I would say, Sheldon, harder, it's not done. I would like be shouting commands at him, and he'd have to like, shame. The next day you were quite stiff.
Yeah, I was quite sore.
But that was literally game changer. That was like insane. Yeah, anyway, so back to around 2:30, I started.
When did she offer you pain?
Oh, she offered me painkillers, yes. She offered me twice. She had a high schedule painkiller. I think she offered me a couple hours when she first arrived, and then offered me sometime around. Yeah, it was twice. When we got upstairs, I remember she offered me when we were upstairs doing that positioning. And I said no both times. Why did I say no? Because I was not in pain. Honestly, I was not in pain. I did not need painkillers. Another reason why I said no is because I know that any intervention you do leads to another intervention. So if I take painkillers, I knew it would affect his heart rate, and I knew if his heart rate is affected, then my midwife would start getting worried. I would possibly have to go to the hospital, blah, blah, blah. And there you go. And then you have an emergency C-section, unfortunately. So yeah, so 2 reasons. I wasn't in pain, and I was against interventions like crazy, because I was adamant that I wanted to do this God's way. I wanted to do it the most like God-designed way possible, with no interventions, no nothing. So I said no to that. Anyway, so back to getting into the pool. So when I got into the pool, I actually started seeing them take out the baby stuff, like the baby like weighing stuff and everything. And I started getting so excited. I was like, oh my goodness, this is actually happening. I've made it. I'm not going to be taken to the hospital. Like, we're having baby in the next couple of hours or soon. Little did I know we actually had him in the next 20 minutes. I think I pushed for like 25 minutes. Not even. It was so quick. But yeah, so about 2:40, I started feeling the urge to push. Now, in the Q&A, I'll get into more details about the pushing and everything. But anyway, let me just say, it feels like you have the biggest poop in the world and you're constipated. It's like a frustrated feeling. It was not painful at all. It was frustrating, because it's like you need to get this thing out, but it's like it's not coming fast enough, and it was interesting. It was a very interesting feeling. But anyway, so I started pushing in the pool, and yeah, after a couple, I don't know how many pushes, but I was holding on to Sheldon's hand, I was holding my comb, and contractions were changed. They weren't like contractions anymore. Now it was just this pushing feeling. And yeah, after like literally 20 minutes of pushing in the pool, my midwife said, let's rather use gravity. So she got us both out of the pool. I was the only one in the pool. Sheldon was not in the pool. There's no way he would be in the pool.
Not a chance.
They got me out of the pool. They put Sheldon, which reluctantly, he didn't know he was going to get so involved in the labor process.
Yeah.
They put Sheldon on a chair, like sitting on a chair. And then I squatted with my arms on his knees. I squatted in like a very deep squat right in front of him. And literally 2 pushes after getting out of the pool, and baby was there, which is insane. Yeah, Sheldon was way closer to the whole thing than he would have probably have chosen to be.
Yeah, I got some stuff on me.
Oh, shame. Can we add in your... Okay, so Sheldon got a little bit white. He went a bit pale from the... just obviously probably the sight as well.
No.
I mean, it is traumatic. You're not a doctor.
No, yeah.
Okay, it's a lot of blood.
Yeah. I think it was just the, obviously being up for 22 hours.
And not eating, not really
eating,
drinking.
not drinking, and then just, constantly, trying to do something.
Yeah.
So I think it was just the whole day is kind of stressful, and then it's the release of that ending.
Yeah.
Kind of so yeah, I felt, so I mean, obviously you see the placenta, you see the baby, you're on the couch doing whatever you need to do, and I'm like, okay, no, I'm fine. And then I went white, I felt the blood drain out of my face, and I'm fine with blood, but then I got really nauseous, and then I'm like, I need to go outside, and then I threw up, and then I was fine. I came back in and then carried on what I needed to do, kind of thing.
Shame. Yeah, so he did throw up, which I do not blame him for. I think for you it's harder, I must say. I think it's harder sometimes for the person watching the person give birth. Because you're not in my body, you don't know what I'm experiencing. You just see, and anyway, I think it's a bit traumatic. Anyway.
Yeah, no.
So literally baby comes out, and I am in a shock. It felt like a couple of minutes that they were not giving baby to me, even though it's literally a couple seconds, like you said. But I'll be honest, I didn't feel any extreme love in that moment. I was just in shock. I was looking down, this baby has just come out of me. I'm thinking to myself, why aren't you giving him to me? Even though it was a couple seconds, it felt like a couple minutes, and I was just waiting for that. which was insane. It's just like the most surreal, crazy experience. Like, this baby just came out of me. It's like insane. So they passed him to me. Yeah, and then I got up, walked to the couch. The midwife, the baby boy, Josiah, was still on me. The midwife was checking me. I'll go into more detail in my Q&A on my recovery and postpartum and did I tear and all of that. Checked me. We did delayed cord clamping. Sheldon actually cut the cord after it was white. Very important. Definitely something I would do no matter what birth I would have. And then, yeah, then baby latched. And now we've had him for the last nearly 3 weeks. I would just wrap it up and say it was honestly the most beautiful experience. I literally could not have asked God for anything better. I feel like it has grown. I've grown so much closer to God through this experience, so much closer to my husband through this experience. I literally would not have it any other way. And I really believe that our bodies were designed to do this. Like, they were designed to do this. God designed this process. And if you honestly trust him and trust that your body can do this, it doesn't have to be painful. Like, it's all in your mind. If you go into something believing that it's going to be painful, it will be painful. But if you believe and trust that there's nothing wrong with you, nothing is wrong. Yes, it's intense. Yes, the feelings are, not pleasurable feelings. They are intense and something you have to work hard on. But knowing that there's nothing wrong and knowing that you were created to do this is something that got me through 100%. So that is my home birth story.